And welcome to the Glacially Musical Podcast that is beer, metal, and swearing. Of course, I'm Nik Cameron, also of the Department of Metal Antiquities. That's not normally how I do this. And I'm joined by a good friend, a man who's always jovial, cheerful, ready to smile, and is going to bring on the Pax Glaciana. Keefy Augustus, how we doing today, buddy?
Uh, all right, cool. Pax Glaciata. Can you explain? I know peace is Pax. What else?
You don't know the Pax Romana?
Yeah, I do know the Pax Romana. What's Glaciana?
Glacially Musical Podcast.
Hey, he's got jokes. I wasn't even ready. That's fucking dope.
Thank you.
I'm well. Thanks for asking. Thanks for
Some,
asking.
sometimes you got to smarten this bitch up because you know
Yo,
what?
I
I mean,
mean,
it's me because I always play dumb on this. I'm actually a pretty smart guy.
former
Uh,
NPR radio host Nik Cameron makes your brain bigger with his music podcast.
Thank you very much for joining us on the Glacially Musical Podcast. It is a very special episode. We are joined by my emotional support, Flat Don,
Mine's in the other room. Fuck.
who's a little bit sticky.
Ooh, yeah, I definitely defiled mine on the live stream the other night when I unboxed the thing. I like that he gave me a vinyl I really love, and you
What?
you were mad about the one he gave you.
I did not say I was mad. I
You
never
said
said
you
that.
didn't need it. I don't
I
need
have it.
this.
I already had it.
You already had it. Okay, he didn't know.
No, I know. It's
He
fine.
loves you. He loves you.
He no,
We
he
love
gave
Don.
he gave me something that I would have bought for myself if I didn't already have it. So he did a good work. I think the one he actually sent me is not a cutout, and mine is a cutout. So it's an upgrade. So
Oh,
he
that's cool. That's
so
cool.
he upgraded. But anywho, so how we do is we do the greeting, the beer check, vinyl check, news check, shirt check, and then meat of the day. This week we are beginning our Metallica series. We are now going to be discussing the Dudes to Riches story of 25-year-old James Hetfield and 24-year-old Lars Ulrich, joined by Jason Newkid and
Can I
Kurt
tell you?
Wawa.
Can I tell you a funny story?
You can tell me a funny story.
Do you know what I did to prepare for this podcast episode?
Was it Watch Year and a Half and Laugh Metallica?
Nope.
I didn't because I got that bitch memorized.
Burned it in my brain a little bit. Cliff
That's
Mall too. Cliff Mall's actually like in the DNA why I play bass guitar and things like that. Beside
no year and a half it's not burned into my brain. My brain is burned into a year and a half and laugh Metallica.
that's fair. That's fair. I did not listen to the Black Album because
Twice. I listened to it twice.
if I have to listen to it to do this, I shouldn't be doing any of this. But what I did listen to is
So you're not going to listen to Reload?
yeah, I'm gonna totally. I have to remember how bad it was. Most of it,
Oh,
half of it.
spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. I re-listened to our series on Metallica where we did the 80s, and what I listened to was Master, Garage Re, and And Justice for All. And those three episodes, including And Justice for All with Quinn Matefield, who's great, or Matfield, however he says it. And you know what I wanted to tell you was that that's only like a year and a half ago when we did that, right?
So it's been a year and a half in the life of Nik and Keefy talking about Metallica.
That and also like I think that's a series. I think obviously because it's the material is great to talk about, but we really kind of crystallized our dynamic and how we do and how we did with a guest was like probably one of our best guests was Quinn, which means we should probably have him back at some point, not necessarily for this series, but just in general, have him back for a chaser at some point.
We need to bring
And
somebody here for Reload just to make someone else enjoy it with us.
I don't think, I mean, that seems mean and
I,
unusual.
I mean, it seems really mean.
Seems really mean. Maybe it means Don. I don't know. Or Danny's too nice. Don maybe deserves a little punishing. But I really appreciate you. I think we've come a long way. We've come a long way in general together, but like I think we've come a long way discussing those records and like I heard things that really spoke to me now about this series to come. So like I hope that makes sense. Thank you. That's why I wanted to say thank you.
You are welcome. I'm going to go on into my beer check now.
You do that.
Just for the record, my voice sounds way better now than that series because I've got a good microphone. Finally, it only took 400 podcast episodes for me to get my vocals set up. So that's why we're not monetized because it took me too long to get sounding good. This week, I am drinking a 7% IPA, 3 Floyds Turbo Reaper. Now, can you see that can very well?
You are holding it a little too close. Can you try to back it up a little? You don't have to put it right up to the camera lens, bro.
Okay.
You're not 70 years old. Come on.
I am 70.
You are not. No, it's still got a little glip. Just back up, back it up
Back
slowly.
it up, back it
And
up, back it up.
pause. Now
And
talk.
pause.
That's cool.
Bend
Yep.
and snap.
Looks
Who
like a
is that?
gargoyle or some kind of creature.
Looks to me like Smaug, my
It does.
boyfriend's alter ego. Sherlock Holmes as a dragon.
Oh.
No,
Benedict Cumberbatch.
I am not attracted to Benedict Cumberbund. I am attracted to Sherlock.
Scumberbatch Cumberdarsh. Like there's a YouTube guy, Ryan George, who does like pitch meetings, right? The pitch meeting YouTube channels. He's like, "Oh, you got a movie for me? Oh, I got another Marvel superhero movie, MCU time." And then they try to say Benedict Cumberbatch when they do Doctor Strange, which we never mentioned Doctor Strange and Saucer Full of Secrets.
Yes, we did. We did.
I hope I did. If I didn't, I failed.
We talked about it.
I hope so. I hope so. They did not get sued, and I think Marvel didn't find out for many years because they don't listen to Pink Floyd or watch.
You specifically mentioned that too.
I hope so. If I did,
you're chewing your food twice, sir. Tell a story.
I'm sorry. So yeah, they fail at saying his name accidentally on purpose 100 times. It's pretty great. I'll send it to you.
I think I've seen that. I always like my favorite is always Benedict Cumberbund. You know, because that also then reminds me of the Princess Bride. You know, the dread. Nobody would fear the dread pirate Cummerbund. Actually, that's not the line, but you know,
it's pretty close. How about DJ Cumberbund, the guy who does one of the guys who does the matchups?
I would be if my name were Cummerbund and I was gonna be a DJ, I'd be DJ Cum My Buns.
We're not DJing a strip club in an unfortunate part of town. Come on.
They're all in unfortunate parts of town.
Unless
you're in Red America.
Did you know I was in New York City, not in Manhattan? I worked around the corner for years on Fifth Avenue and 20th Street, and then later on another part of that town. And there was a strip club around the corner, as well as a rock club around the corner opposite. So a lot of times the bands would like roll in, sound check, load, whatever. And then it's like, oh, we got to get dinner. And then they end up in the strip club at the buffet. How do I know this? I don't know how I know this. But anyway.
You know what? The idea of eating at a buffet in a strip club is just the most, I mean, I can think of nothing more disappetizing.
I'm not a germaphobe, but can you imagine the botulism? All right, it's time for my drink check. It's not a beer check, but it's a liquid death.
Third are your immersed, bitches.
Convicted melon. Still one of my favorite flavors. I don't know if they're discontinuing it. Seems like Slaughterberry is definitely out the door. Cheers.
Cheers, my friend.
Foamy.
Oh, I've got a mustache. I know. High ABV IPAs on the Figure Fudge Pour fail a little bit because they're super foamy. But this is Three Floyds actually is now finally available in Missouri. This is the first Three Floyds I have ever purchased in my own state. I believe on one of our podcasts that I did when I was out of town, I drank a Zombie Dust by Three Floyds because I got that on the East Coast. So
Three Floyds is one of the 6 most metal breweries that usually sponsors the Decibel Metal and Beer Festival, which you and I are not attending this year, but maybe we will attend in 2026. It would be a cool thing for us to do a podcast from the Beer Fest or from the hotel after the Beer Fest.
You've never seen me at a Beer Fest. You have never seen me drunk until you've seen Beer Fest Nick. Beer Fest Nick is that is the drunkest I ever get.
I mean, could you really get drunk off all these craft beers and a little cup
yes
that you reuse all day?
Yes.
Yeah. Look at his face. He's so serious. Yes.
It's okay. We once had to lay down in the bed of a truck because we were too drunk to drive a block to get pizza. I was seeing triple. Yeah. That doesn't happen very often. Anyway, vinyl check. This weekend, I decided to hit up Trader Joe's after my paycheck, hit up my checkbook, and give me a couple of records. So, previous podcast subject, the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
I mean, that's not so bad.
Californication.
It's okay.
How much would you pay for this if it were new on the shelf?
You would have to pay me to listen to anything by them after One Hot Minute. Okay, if I wanted that to complete, I'm going to only get that record left. And I know people love Stadium Arcadium. It's also not that good, honestly. Why a double record? Stop
In
making
my
double records.
this is a no.
I
Stadium
would
Arcadium is
pay
quadruple.
$25 if it had a fun vinyl variant. I'm going low. I know it's probably like 35, 40.
Let's just take a look, see what it is. The vinyl variant on this one is black. So no fun vinyl variant. It is a double record because it's a like 1 minute is around 70 minutes in length. Now, I paid the Prince. Now, the reason why I got this was not for Nick. Lawyer wife likes this one. So, and speaking of, my family, just nothing bad is happening. There'll be no follow-up questions because Keefy knows what it is, and I don't want him to say it. If you could just have some good thoughts in your head for my family for the next few weeks, we'd really appreciate it. Some good mojo our way. But lawyer wife said she wanted Californication. On Discogs, it goes for $35 up. This pressing is 35 and up. This was on the shelf at Joe's Records STL for $20.
That's what I would pay.
Immediately went into my hand. And if you are listening to this in the St. Louis area and you have a predilection for vinyl and dick jokes, you're in the right place to begin with. 2, get down to Joe's STL. As of this Saturday, they were still doing the % off sale on the Overstock. Speaking of which, I picked up this one.
That's a good
Arch
one.
Enemy, Rise of the Tyrant. Now, you want to talk about some cool vinyl colors? Purple.
I love purple. That's dope. Purple with the red label is interesting too.
Yeah, it's a really good. This one's tight. I really dig this one. Cool cover art. It does not have the song "Rise" or "We Rise" or whatever. And my brain
Is that an Angela
here.
record still?
Oh yeah, this is a 2007 record.
That's about the last time she made a record with them. Maybe 2009 was the last one.
No, it was a little later than that. The first one with
Elisa.
Thank you. Elisa White Gulls
Glues.
was what?
Glues.
Glues?
She's French Canadian.
Oh, I know that because she's from Montreal. She was in The Agonist.
She wasn't the agonist. She is an interesting character. I'll say that.
I know nothing about her.
I've met her. I've interviewed her. She's interesting.
So this one was $27 with 20% off. So I picked that up, and I got my Joe's Records STL Punchy Punch stamped, and I'm good to go. That's my vinyl check.
All right, it's time for my vinyl check. Still on the 2024. One of my first shows of 2024 was the great and legendary stoner doom band Acid King from the Bay Area at the Great American Music Hall, which I really do love. In the Mylar, listened to it a bit already when I got it. And this is fantastic. This is their self-titled album. And it has a cool inner sleeve. Stuff on the back. I'm pretty sure this is the guy on that logo there on the cover, on the cassette cover, and this guy's face here is the guy who was like, I am the Acid King before he murdered his friends and family. This was produced by Dale Crover and engineered by Billy Anderson. You know, Dale Crover is from Melvins. Billy Anderson is the legendary Bay Area producer and sometimes bassist. Look at this gorgeous, what you'd have to call this, a purple splatter. Blue purple splatter.
I would call that a purple lavender splatter.
Purple lavender. Are you
splatter.
From Boston? Splatter?
A purple lavender splatter.
Instead
like
of
the cat Harvard Yard.
Instead of the water fountain, do you go to the bubbler?
That's Wisconsin, isn't it?
No, that is Boston. The bubbler.
They say that in Wisconsin too. That's what the Green Goblin says. I forget his name.
Okay. Great album. Great album. And then opening for that show, one of the opening bands for that show, in addition to Spirit, not Spirit World, but Spirit Mother, which is a stoner band. Spirit World is the death metal band we're going to talk about soon. I got this album from Early Moods. They were so fucking good. This band is from LA, also psychedelic rock. John would probably love these guys if he doesn't already. Front cover, black and white photography, pretty cool picture of them near an underpass, probably in LA, like the aqueducts and the underpasses. Here's the back cover, pretty cool, very classic 70s look thing.
Digging that. They've got that Coheed and Cambria look.
Anybody with a big fro.
Heard one of my favorite Coheed and Cambria songs on the radio today and quickly turned it off.
You have a favorite Coheed and Cambria song right off the bat. That's a concern. No, they're great, but it's just like, they actually, they're on tour.
All their songs are the same.
They're not.
I said it.
They're not.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is a cool insert. Lyrics on one side. Very nice, very nice, very nice, very nice. Riding Easy Records is the label, one of the finer record labels for Stoner Doom, along with Seeing Red Records and Ripple Music and Heavy Psych Sounds and Blues Funeral, named for the Mark Lanigan song. And then here's the cool vinyl with the vinyl variant. The Acid King was like $30 at their table, and
Not bad.
the Early Moods record was 20. Look at the 20 for this. Almost matches the shirt a little. Look at that.
That is a gorgeous like fluorescent neon green color, and that is just so rarely used.
It's got a little subtle splatter. I mean,
I
there's
see
like a
a little
mark
bit.
here, but
It
it's got a
looks like it was
subtle
a
splatter.
looks like a splatter that failed.
It could the splatter that failed. Is that like the god
Pride
that
you
failed?
took, pride you feel,
Splatter
pride
you
that you
blue.
felt back when you kneel.
But yeah, like the label on the front and the classic.
Follow the wax that failed.
Please stop. Riding Easy center
Never.
label. Pretty nice. I know. Don't ever change. Except for the better. Don't ever change. So yeah, that's my vinyl check. Those are pretty 1-2. So $35 for the Acid King. And that was actually like really my first show. I came back after being very ill last year. So it was really like a coming out for me, coming out party.
Yeah, I remember when you got pretty sick last year.
I'm coming out. I want the
So next
world
week
to know.
I'm trying to decide how my vinyl check's going to go because I'm going to be flush. Next week I'm going to be going to Bloomington, and I've been checking out record stores and sushi bars up there where to go when I'm not seeing the Bison play. Did find out the Bison have a legendary, well not legendary, but a big time ECHL fighter, Mikhail something, and they're playing the Tulsa Oilers, who have Cade McNelly, one of the King of the Ring Ice Wars combatants, which is prize fighting hockey fights. Yeah, I've never watched one. So, anywho, so we'll see if I have to do a trauma dump or not. I think I probably am just going to buy a bunch and not trauma dump. Anywho, so news check for the week. I got a couple of light ones. I'm not going to take the big one because I'm sure Keefy wants to pontificate. The first one is Kiss has announced a new Off the Soundboard series. That would be Kiss San Antonio 1985 on the Asylum tour. I don't know who asked for this. I don't know if anybody asked for anything from the Asylum tour apart from like 18 dudes who were 13 in 1985. But I am reasonably certain I'm going to buy it unless they stick with the path they have laid out for us, which is no CD version, no black vinyl version, no colored vinyl only version. It is only available in bundles. And on top of that, it's like $100. Then the t-shirts in the bundles do not have Bruce Kulick or Eric Carr on them, as Pop House would not pay for the licensing of their images. So, even more erasure of two classy gentlemen. Thoughts?
Well, we kind of semi predicted this. We were going to see what Pop House was going to do with the Kiss, how they were going to roll with it, and we now see that we don't quite know really what their intentions are.
So far, what I'm seeing is they're doing nothing different than Kiss did.
That seems
Uh,
correct.
glad to see, glad to see Off the Soundboard returning. I did hear a snippet of the songs. Have not heard a full single, but if there is a standard priced vinyl pressing, I am buying this. What I heard sounded really, really good. It didn't sound like the Poughkeepsie off the soundboard. It sounded like farts. It sounded like it was on a tape deck that was left in a recorded on a single cassette, which it was, left in a moldy basement for about 20 years, which it probably was. Probably Paul's basement in Los Angeles. But anyway, the other bit of news I have is Spinal Tap. The End Continues, the sequel to the greatest mockumentary of all time, has a release date. 9/12/2025.
That's pretty cool.
And they're re-releasing the original Spinal Tap on a limited theatrical run. Who am I kidding? Every theatrical run is a limited theatrical run in 2025. I remember when I missed out on stealing Harvard for 3 weeks and I had to wait for the DVD. Now, if you don't wait for anything for 3 weeks unless it's a Marvel superhero movie. Anywho, so it's they're doing a limited release of, which probably means just 2 showings of This Is Spinal Tap over the summer. So good time to get out with the boys and get you a couple of movie beers and watch What's Wrong with Being Sexy? No, Dennis, sexist. Ist. Oh, such a fine line between stupid and clever.
These go to 11.
What
No,
is
you
that?
don't understand. These go to 11.
Right, but
One louder.
is that louder? Is that louder than 10? Well, yeah, it's 11. It's 11, isn't it? It's one louder. Also, Rob Reiner, of course, is back reprising his role as filmmaker Martin DeBurgi. And I cannot wait to see what military hat he's wearing in the next movie. For some reason, that was like a thing of directors in the 80s, was to wear like USS Arizona or USS Missouri hats
I think they
while
were
they were
doing
directing.
USO stuff, and that's why.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. It's just funny to me because these two things are so far apart. That'd be like, Janis Joplin or Jimi Hendrix wearing an LAPD hat.
Yes.
So,
Yes. And Rob Reiner is very lefty. I don't know if you remember.
oh, I'm well aware of
You're
Meathead.
well acquainted.
Well aware. And that is my news check for the week. I yield my time.
Well, you gave me you served me up the ball. I'm gonna hit it.
Oh yeah, yeah. Get the one wood out because this is a
Nick's
big one.
favorite series we have ever done here on the Glacially Musical Podcast is our 4
Fuck
album
you.
run of Mastodon. Last week's episode had
does
so
have
many.
my greatest quote though.
It does indeed.
This album has no good songs on it. 10 out of 10.
That's right. Last week's episode had so many fucks and fuck yous. I thought we were remaking Goodfellas. I, and Don. You, Don, and I. So, Udon? Doodles? No.
That is true.
You, Don, and I. So Mastodon, if you've lived under a rock, parted ways with guitarist, vocalist, and key songwriter of their best earliest material, Brent Hinds. Brent has always been
wielder of the linoleum knife.
He is the wielder of the linoleum knife. He's the guy, like he wasn't a founder. He was the last guy in, but he was deeply impactful in the history of the band. He's a supremely talented guitarist, an interesting vocalist for sure. Like somewhere between Captain Beefheart and Mike Patton, and an R&B singer of good, of 70s credibility. So they announced that they mutually agreed that he would part ways with the band after 25 years. They just celebrated 25 years of the band. They had a show this weekend. They tapped YouTube sensation and guitar teacher Ben Eller as the, at least for now, one show replacement. It's been termed in the press as the fill-in guitarist. I don't know if he's going to be offered the chance to be the guy or if they have someone else in mind. Brent has actually not really contributed much to the last few Mastodon albums.
Solo record, come on, bring it.
I mean, he's got a project. He's already got his own band called Fiend Without a Face that predates Mastodon, where he wears like a nylon over his face like a bank robber and a fez. That's where the fezes came from in Mastodon, from Brent. And a lot of things.
I'm not making any faces about this.
You can. He's got a project with Matt Pike of High on Fire and Sleep, where it's supposed to be kind of like dueling guitars, not metal. Brent infamously gave an interview to Revolver that he claimed was taken out of context maybe about 10 years ago. He said, I really don't like metal and I never have. And I thought it would be cool and, contrary to go join a metal band when I don't really love metal. But he's clearly written a lot of great metal stuff. He's also like, even the things that are like very progressive rock, like he put the surf guitar solo in Divinations, like that's all. It's also his, like, one of his tracks. But really, the band has been taken over by Braun and Troy for the most part. And again, Brent had done very little the last few albums, including the double album. The last time that Brent really made an impact was the EP they put out with the leftovers from an album. So I'm sad that he's out, but maybe it's for the best. I will tell you, they were close to firing him at least 2 times in the past. As we talked about his traumatic brain injury and the comeback from that with Crack the Sky, he really has never been the same guy again. You can tell physically he looks different. He's just not the same person since then. Like he's not disabled, but he's not, he's not, he's like ODB. He's a wild card. You don't kind of know what guy you're going to get. I've seen him be brilliant live. I've seen him been horrible. I've seen him been drunker than anyone I've ever seen and still be able to play guitar like an Ace Frehley. But also like I've seen him just indecipherable and watching the band watch him from across the stage, like, wow, he sucks. Why are we doing this? We should call, like, what the hell? So maybe it was time. Maybe it's been time for a long time. It's probably a decision they didn't just make. I think it's a decision it's been coming for a while, and now is the time to announce it. I wouldn't mind seeing Ben get the job because he's great. You could go watch his YouTube channel. It's pretty fresh. And then other than that, I had talked last week about just seeing Deftones, and they already announced another run of headline dates later this year, which is kind of cool.
Is that it?
That's all I've got.
I'm going to throw one more out there. The Mayhem Festival is rebranded as Miss Mayhem, featuring all female-fronted metal bands. Female-fronted is
My
not
asshole
a genre.
is clenching.
But if you there's quite a few bands that if you rounded them all up, I'd definitely be. If you had Vinyl Check Subject, Arch Enemy, the Agonist, or Hailstorm, or Unleash the Archers, yeah, I would definitely buy a ticket if it came here. Of course, the Mayhem Festival never comes to St. Louis, so it doesn't matter.
So you have now poked the bear. Here's what I'm gonna say.
Just give a shorty.
They this is a reaction to the reaction of the festival, not an actual indicator of how good or bad the festival did last year. They brought it back. It was mostly metalcore with a few interesting bands. Kitty was on it. Maybe they did some pre-polling and those bands did particularly well. But like, first of all, female fronted is not a genre, and I'll go with that. I know some people like it. I don't. It's lazy. I don't think this is a wise move. I understand why they're doing it. It's novel. I don't know how this grows into a whole tour on this premise alone. They're not going to pick like extreme metal bands. I can almost guarantee it. Mostly Kitty is more of an extreme metal band than some who they pick. Like, okay, who are the hottest bands right now? Ginger, Spirit Box, Infected Rain, at least in Europe. Not as big here, but kind of a Ginger light. Butcher Babies, Carla Harvey's new project. Be cool to have an industrial metal band with a woman lead, but again, female fronted. It's not going to be symphonic metal. It's not going to be like Crypta, like a thrashy, deathly thrash metal, blackened death metal, thrash metal. It's not going to be Castrator. It's not going to be Emasculator. It's not going to be these bands that are extreme metal. It's just this is not their audience. They have kind of a commercial audience, so it's going to be, different kinds of bands. And I don't know that necessarily makes it a better festival. I think they're trying to shake off. It's the same thing Summer Slaughter did. Summer Slaughter came back. People were not enthused by the lineup because they didn't have any classic old school death metal bands.
So we're not going to get Feminine School or Vile Creatures.
Absolutely not. And I love Vile Creature a lot. I love them.
I got both the records.
Yeah, it's great. I have one of them. Probably back east.
I have two of three because I don't have the first one wasn't released on vinyl.
Okay. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know that this is a wise move. This is a reaction to the reaction. It's never a good business plan.
If you get the right bands, it's going to go over really well. However, they're not going to do that.
Yeah, Spirit Box might be able to carry. I almost beat or Poppy. Like Poppy would be at the level. She has her own fan base. She did the crossover with Knocked Loose. Are they going to include gay and trans people, or is it going to just be women? Ash is a very controversial guy. Ash Adbillison of Sumerian Records kind of co-owns the festival or owns the festival. He's the one who broke the news. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know. I want to ask people how they feel about it. And that's it. I kept it as short as possible without going bananas because I kind of want to go bananas, but I'm not going to.
Sharks of the Corn.
My shark is over here. I got to get Don his shark.
All right. I am sweating in my room, so I'm going to take that off. I had to actually get up and blow out my my candles. So, shirt check.
Why do you stand up?
Just so people can see my shirt. Gravehuffer. Yay.
Are you 49 or 89? Come on, bro.
Eat your own butt.
I would if I could, but I can't.
I
Amoeba
have to
music.
stand up to show the whole shirt because if I don't have a fancy camera, I gotta squish you with my hand camera.
Better than you, and I make it work. Anyway,
You
Amoeba.
have a, I have a smaller space.
This is my third. I'm not so sure. This is my third. You don't realize how narrow this is. Like literally the whole room. You're looking at the whole bed. That's my bed, literally this big for my body, and this space right here is the only space in the room that's open. That's not filled by something. This is my third kind of Dayglowy shirt in a row. I'm pretty proud of it. Amoeba Music, my second favorite record store in San Francisco. I love you, Amoeba Music. Also in LA.
Alrighty, now that my shirt check is over, I've got my booster seat off the chair. Uh, there we go, a little bit closer to myself. So now let's set it up. 1991, we are transitional period. Of course, Poison is going crazy with Unskinny Bop. Aerosmith has just dropped Pump. And let's see, what other big bands are big banding at this point in time?
I mean, we're gonna go through the records, but like so hey, let me just quick. I don't want to cut your nuts off here, but we ended that episode with Quinn at the end of the 80s, right at what happens between and Justice for All and the Black Album to Metallica. A couple of things, right? Do you want like I know you want to talk about this shit.
I probably do, but you start it.
No, I don't want to start it.
Okay, just tell me what it is.
Well, they get nominated for a Grammy.
Oh, that's what we're talking about.
And
Okay.
they win a Grammy.
Yeah, they actually won their first Grammy. They didn't go to the Grammys. They won for Stone Cold Crazy, Best Metal Performance, which I don't even know how to deal with that one. But in 1990, I believe it was. No, it was 1989. Metallica's nominated for a Grammy for Best Metal Performance, the very first metal Grammy. And what is more appropriate than giving the first metal Grammy to a band with metal in their name? The most metal thing you could ever do is give it to Jethro Tull. Apparently. Apparently the best way to be metal, the most metal thing you can do is not be metal at all.
Here's a question for you. Has the Grammys appreciably improved since then? Really?
No,
Not
no.
really.
The Grammys are not for people like us. And I don't mean like, old, bitter metal dudes. You and I are not we are fans of the big music and just as much fans of little music. And the Grammys is not about little music. Some of my favorite artists that I have talked about and jizzed over for years on this show, like James Legg, Black Diamond Heavies. Nobody in the Academy of Music has ever heard of that man. But I have all 8 of his records, and I will keep 9. I have all 9 of his records, and I'll keep buying them because they're amazing. He probably sells 400 a go. He hasn't put one out in a couple of years, so it's get on the bus. Left Lane Cruiser, same deal, man. These are tiny little bands on tiny little labels, the labels that are run out of a record store. And I mean, my favorite music is never going to be there. It's always going to be like the MTV Video Awards. It's going to be a bunch of people that have never really listened to these things picking who's the title. So it is what it is. But between the release of Justice and the release of the Black Album, just to clarify, we are not discussing the Spinal Tap album. We are discussing the Metallica album. I'd like to have a word with you, Metallica representatives. Whose idea was it to have an all-black album?
Black Album. How interesting.
It's like a question. How much more black could it be? It's none. None more black.
I like and like with no self-awareness at all. James and Lars and James like, I think that's the one. The completely blackest matte one.
In fairness, Lars did say 3 times because nobody laughed the first 2 times. Spinal Tap lives. And James did say none more black.
I think I have something in common with I realize that Lars is I must be have got maybe I got it from Lars or what let me repeat myself until the joke is understood.
I do the same thing. I mean,
I don't know.
I assume that if somebody doesn't laugh at my joke, they didn't hear it or they didn't get it.
It's goofy. It's definitely
because
goofy.
my jokes is funny.
Your jokes are funny.
They only
Okay.
come out as funny. My kid disagrees, but my kid is wrong. So let's talk about
I see a
nights.
kitty.
What?
I see a kitty behind you.
Oh, balls. I haven't fixed the door. On the DMA this week, you can actually hear a cat meow.
Nick, I haven't fixed the door camera. That's your new nickname for the week. I'm putting that in the description.
I'll fix the fucking door. So
I don't.
give me.
I want all the cats in the podcast. I have no problem
You
there.
used to yell at me for it, so I had to close them out.
I became soft. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna burp in this microphone.
I'd rather you not. All right.
I did, but I muted.
All right. I don't care. I don't care. You drink beer. Like, of course you're gonna burp. I burped when I drank beer.
Can we do the records now?
Yeah. So Black Album.
Well, and we'll discuss the history surrounding the Black Album.
Yeah, Metallica
after.
on the way to becoming the band that we know now was this progressive, thrash metal originators. They pushed the progressive thing as far as possible. They changed a little bit every record, even if they kept the format locked in because they believed in it.
Oh, they did the Pink Floyd thing. They just kept making the same record over and over, but slightly different.
Sort of. I don't think Pink Floyd did it exactly by numbers. I don't think that's fair because Animals and Wish You Were Here are nothing alike. But yes, I know what you
Animals
mean.
and Wish You Were Here are not that different.
I think Roger's writing.
If you break up Dogs and put it on if you front and back load it with Dogs, it's the same fucking record.
Maybe I don't
You
think
mean
that. We'll get there.
AKA, if you made the album that Dave wanted to make for Wish You Were Here, it'd be the same record.
Spoiler alert, in later 2025 for the Pink Floyd series coming, or the third Pink Floyd series at the end of the year, probably. So listen, they had made 2 gold records with no radio play. They finally had a music.
No radio play.
2 gold records. They finally consented to make a music video in January of 1989 for one. It is a sensation.
And James did not wear the stage makeup.
He would not get makeup put on him. He ran away. It's brilliant. They ended up buying Johnny Got His Gun from the estate of Dalton Trumbo.
So why haven't they released it?
I don't know. There's some, I don't know why.
Or why haven't they done a concept record for it?
That would be cool.
That would be cool.
That would be cool. They did do kind of that thing with Apocalyptica last year where James did the dramatic reading of the one lyrics.
I do not need that.
I can't remember anything. Like, that's how it is. It's very dramatic. I think it's cool.
No one needs that.
No one needs it, but it's cool that that he did it with them. And then they also gave him Cliff's original bass line from Orion, the track, the real tapes to do Orion with Cliff, basically, which is kind of fucking cool. It's kind of weird that Metallica didn't be like, we want to do that. Why would we let you do that when we want to do that? Like, that's a good idea. But they did the nice thing and they let them have it, which is cool.
Because Metallica respected their successive bass players.
Well, they also respect Apocalyptica, clearly. They like Kosa.
Well, yeah, that's fine.
So, the Grammy thing happens. Metallica is becoming kind of an underground commercial phenomenon where they're headlining arenas. They opened for Ozzy in arenas, and they did the thing almost no band has ever done, which is go right to headlining arenas and not go back to clubs, which is crazy. Amphitheaters and arenas.
They did large theaters on the Puppets World Tour, and then after that, with the success of one, they were able to book arenas. So I mean,
but they had opened for Ozzy in arenas and then leapt to headlining their own arena shows, and they sold out. And they would sometimes do 2 nights in a row, which is why we have Seattle from Nick's favorite live album that we're probably not good. We'll mention and talk a little bit about, but not going to do a whole episode on.
I think we should probably do 15 minutes on it today.
Today? No, I think next week. No.
Okay, next week.
Like, something's got to blunt that load horribleness. We need the end of.
Okay, you're right. You're right.
And there's a whole journey, and I kind of want to talk about a few other things at the end here. So,
okay,
like a set list. You do the set list thing and all that. So, what the Black Album set list look like? So anyway, they go into the studio and they decide they're not going to work with Fleming Rasmussen in the end. Some people still think it's a mistake. It came up on our series with Quinn of And Volume for All for that And Justice for All episode where I believe, were like they should have kept working with him. Um,
I think they should have kept working with him, but I thought they should have brought in a producer.
well they did,
I mean, keep Fleming and bring in Bob.
and bring in Bob. Well, here's the thing: Metallica, James and Lars don't really want a producer. They want someone to twirl the knobs, which is what they saw Fleming as. And they were convinced to get Bob because Bob made a record. Bob made great records, especially Dr. Feelgood. Even though they clowned on Motley Crue constantly, the musical sound of Dr. Feelgood it's the best sounding Motley Crue record. May have some of the best songs Motley Crue ever did. Plus that helps. But like
May have, might be. No, it
guitar
is.
and drum sound, which is what they only care about, was immaculate on that record, and
That's
that's
what I'm
Bob.
saying. I'm saying
That's
it's
all Bob.
absolutely the best sounding Motley
And
Crue
yeah,
record.
and he got a good, decent performance out of Vince, even though he still sucks.
Best performance out of Vince in his whole career.
And he still sucks, but
Still sucks, yeah.
still sucks. But it's like his best. His best is a 6 out of a 10. Like
It's
he
like being
finally got to a 6.
it's like being the least smelly turd in the bowl, but
Yeah,
it still deserves praise.
he's the turd with corn. Anyway, it's like, oh, look at that cute thing. All the corn went in the one
Jesus Christ.
log. Anyway, so they were convinced to get Bob, but they really don't want a producer. So it was a battle even with Bob, who is considered to be the person they liked working with the most. Um,
Oh yeah, I saw what happened. I saw what they were willing to put on the video. If you watch the video, Year and a Half Live Metallica, which we're going to reference the crap out of today, I'm sure, they fought with him the whole time. It was a constant battle, and they kind of started really enjoying fighting with him and breaking him.
they were going to break him like a horse. They or bad like a new pair of shoes. They were going to break him in, and they were going to learn him. This is behavior that is typically not acceptable by any diva, rock star, any band. Metallica, not quite the band they are now. They're not yet. They're a phenomenon, but they're not powerful. Now
And
they're powerful and a phenomenon
and Bob Rock was not quite the producer yet that he is now.
because Metallica's his, you know, Piz de Resistance. But I don't know. I think it's interesting. I don't think these are two guys that ever really want to be produced. And again, we've talked
I
about
agree completely,
the
100%.
many kinds of producers that live and exist. They don't need someone to tell them how to be Metallica or write songs, but maybe they do. Maybe they
They do. They
do.
do. They
And
do.
maybe even in 1990 they did. We said that they spent the most amount of time ever on Master of Puppets in the Master of Puppets episode, and that's why it came out so great. They spent one of the least amount of times they've ever spent to make a record on Injustice for All, ergo why it's got issues, even though it's great. They spent the most time ever making the Black Album until Load and Reload, when they
Which
spent
is
like 2 years in the studio. And I'm not counting Saint Anger with the break for James to go to rehab.
Doesn't count. That's a different
It's
deal.
different. So they spent like 11 months making Injustice for All. It's unheard of. Millions of dollars spent to make this record. No idea that it was going to become what it became.
Black Album. You said
Black Album. Black Album. They spent 11 months. They spent all the time. They did all the things. James is going to teach you how to sing.
This album cost $1 million to make.
Right. I thought more.
It's more now, but we're talking about a band. We're talking about a band that, I mean, $1 million to make a record. Do you know how many you have to sell just to recoup?
And this is the CD era. CD and cassettes, long boxes, very expensive to make. CDs are 18.
Metallica's royalty rate at this point in time was about 20 cents.
Yeah, the average.
On Reload, they got the princely sum of a quarter, or Load, they got the princely sum of a quarter.
Yeah.
So do the math. To recoup this record, how many do they have to sell? 4 million.
I don't math well.
You have to sell I'm sorry, no, 5 million. They have to sell 5 million copies to earn a dime on this record. Bob Rock was paid $100,000 to produce it and got points on the record. And he did mostly a great job on this record. Mostly. And we'll discuss that more when we get to the album.
By the way, let's reference and give credit where credit is due. A year and a half in the life of Metallica is directed by Adam Dubin, who is their friend and videographer. Adam is famous for directing the "Fight for Your Right to Party" video, and featuring Carrie King, and No Sleep Till Brooklyn featuring Carrie
No,
King.
Kerry King is not in that one. It was Rick
Oh,
Rubin,
sorry.
but at the
It
time
looks
Rick
like
Rubin looked just like Kerry King, and he was wearing a Slayer shirt.
They looked alike. I thought it was Carrie King. But he also more recently directed the Murder in the Front Row documentary about Bay Area thrash.
That's such a great movie.
It is.
Loved
It
it.
is one of my favorites.
Hit me with the records of 1991.
I know
This
we just did this in the previous episode with Don, where we did all the records of 1990.
not as in depth as you're gonna go.
Oh, I'm going to go more in depth. I think I'm going to go less in depth.
Yeah, do
All
it.
right. All right.
Do it hard.
Again, yay or nay, I have it, or I like it, or I don't.
Mm.
Not a long pontification, right? We're trying to keep this.
I'll give shorties on this one.
And I think for the next time we do the decade, we just don't do news. We just do
yeah, totally.
Skip the news check and just do like beer, vinyl.
The news of the week is we're not doing news.
Save that for then. Okay. Don's favorite album of the entire decade, Slave to the Grind by Skid Row.
No.
Arise by Sepultura.
Yes.
One of my favorites.
Good
No
record.
More Tears, Ozzy Osbourne, which I love and I have.
Magnum opus.
Blind by Corrosion Conformity. Love it and have it.
Good.
Human by Death.
Classic.
Incredible. Bad Motorfinger by Soundgarden.
Abject classic.
God damn it, I have to say this for a third time. Necroticism, Desconcerting the Insalubrious. Fuck me, Carcass. I still can't say it 3 times.
I do not believe that is the title of the record.
I swear to fuck it is. I'm looking right at it. Fucking Google lied to me.
Great record.
Descanting the Insalubrious. Fuck you. Symbol of Salvation, Armored fucking Saint, bro.
Thrash.
Blessed Are the Sick, the B album by Morbid Angel.
Yeah, you're right. We have done a lot of these. Let's pare this down a little bit.
I told you. Use Your Illusion 1 and 2, Guns N' Roses.
So mid.
I love it.
I would love it as one record.
Gothic, one of the 85 albums Paradise Lost put out in the 90s. Sorry, I had to. Motorhead 1916, probably their last great record, but they have a couple of other good ones.
And they kept going for 25 more years.
And they kept going, like an ever-flowing stream, Dismember. Clandestine.
Title? Was that the title of the album?
Title, like an ever-flowing stream.
Oh my god, that works so perfectly.
Dismember. Clandestine, Entombed.
Mm.
Bullhead by Melvins, who I love.
Mm-mm.
Sailing the Seas of Cheese by Primus.
Mm-mm.
Horoscope, Overkill.
Mm-mm.
Great album, probably one of their best. War Master by Bolt Thrower.
Nope.
Just a few more. Effigy of the Forgotten, Suffocation.
Mm-mm.
Dawn of Possession by Immolation.
I like that.
I love that record.
I love that name, Immolation.
Immolation, great band, great guys. Forest of Equilibrium, Cathedral.
God, a great title.
Mental Vortex, Coroner. By the way, you were confirmed for the Coroner show.
All right.
Slow, Deep, and Hard by Typo Negative.
That's sexy.
Twilight of the Gods by Bathory. Butchered at Birth by Cannibal Corpse.
I tried to let Lawyer Wife pick out a Cannibal Corpse t-shirt for me.
No.
She looked at me and just went, "Oh, what is wrong with you?"
No.
I did not get one.
Nevermind by Nirvana.
Good Lord.
Time Does Not Heal by previously ripped off by Metallica. Dark Angel.
If you don't mind, I'm going to throw out one more title from this, and let's just call it a day on the.
You're forgetting an important one, but go ahead.
I'm going to throw that out right now. Blood Sugar Sex Magic by the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
The next and last one, and then I would say Fuck by Van Halen and Innuendo by Queen. That's it.
So let's
quicker. I skipped like 20 albums.
Yeah, this year has 4 phenomenon albums.
That's true.
Super Unknown, Nevermind.
Not Super. Bad Motorfinger.
I'm sorry, Bad Motorfinger. Bad Motorfinger, Nevermind, the Black Album, and Blood Sugar Sex Magic. Jesus, not only does it have, it probably has more in the pop genres. How many other years in this world, not in the 70s, but in the 80s and 90s, do you have this many phenomenons in one year?
Well, we did the list last week. So 92, 94.
It's not many.
That's the list. Yeah.
It's crazy just how big things got back in the 90s. And I miss that.
Yeah, we don't. Well,
but, so now let's talk about.
We have to discuss whether the next time we do one of these, are we going to try to go for the aughts or are we going to go back to the 70s? Because like we're now we've done the 2 peak decades for metal. And the question is, do we go forward one or do we go backwards?
Oh God, we want to do more of those.
I know we do. Well, they seem to do well.
We could do the 1890s.
Hmm. Mayhaps. At
Like the,
Beethoven, let me tell you. Bum, bum, bum,
I
bum.
mean, did they even keep track of how many 78s they sold back then?
Hmm,
Hmm.
don't know.
They had battery electric cars back then too. Anyway, so let's back up the truck. So Metallica between 1986 and 1990, because the Blackout or Injustice for All is 1988, and they go on a 2-year tour after that. So they have already established themselves as the ultimate road, the ultimate, they're going to take this on the road. They, especially like the Justice Tour. The Justice Tour was a significantly theatrical show. It had Doris, She Explodes, pyro, video, all the cool stuff, which is really awesome. And they go on they tour that for 2 years. They get done and they are now at a crossroads. And as we find out later on in the years, they realize, okay, we can make a comfortable living doing what we're doing, or we can bring somebody in to help us out that'll push us to the next level, and we will never have to worry about working again. Jason, I believe Jason had said that when he joined the band, they were very close. The three of them were already very close to being set for life. And then on the Justice tour, they were basically set for life. So they looked at this next opportunity as a time to shine, a time to break through, do basically what you've been doing, make a change as you always do, tighten it up, and bring somebody in that can help it sell. So the first thing Bob Rock says is, I've listened to your albums, and you never sounded like a band playing together, which is entirely true. But also, they weren't a band playing together. Kirk didn't, Kirky Wawa didn't do anything on this album, on the previous albums, except punch in for a solo. That's all he did, and that's all he does on this album too. And
Which
he
is
does not
what he
play.
hates. He hates
What
that. And
he does? I never heard that.
yeah, well, first of all, again,
I would hate it.
so Kirk Hammett wrote the main riff of Enter Sandman, by the way. Kirk Hammett
And
wrote
Justice, or not Justice, Puppets.
he's
I think.
contributed to the riffs of Master of Puppets. I think he's technically wrote the second riff. The first riff is James.
Oh, the much better riff in the intro.
Um,
That one.
I think the intro is the best riff of all time. So anyway, that and Black Sabbath, the original Black Sabbath riff. And War Pigs. So Kirk Hammett has contributed more than you think, but yes, his role, James doubled
Oh,
his
I never said he
rhythms.
didn't contribute. I'm just
James
saying
feels
all
like
he
no
did
one can
on the
double it.
albums
It's
was
like
punch in.
Mustaine. Nobody can really double Mustaine's rhythms. And they weren't ready to have somebody have an alternating style against theirs. It does turn out that it works better. Similar to when Pantera, future spoiler alert for Pantera series, when Daryl stopped doing 18 tracks of guitar and everything and just went down to one or two, it's much more powerful than 18. 18 takes away,
Completely agree.
one or two much more powerful, especially if recorded correctly.
Well, and I noticed the second time I listened to this today, there were some like guitar parts that I had never really heard before that I wish I hadn't heard today.
Oh no, that's
Like
gonna make me sad.
on just or not just on Sandman, there's like a there's like a chord that's just like held out during the riff, and I'm like, what the hell? That doesn't sound right.
So that's the Bob Rock effect. I'm gonna put layers on and like little ear candies.
Yeah,
That's Bob.
it
That's not
sounded
something they naturally do.
yeah, it sounded like the speaker got a poke in it.
What they probably did was brought in a different amp. Do one through a Fender Twin just to see. Haha, let's see what it do. And just jin, 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 that's exactly what you're talking about. You know what the riff is. I know exactly what the part is because I've heard it for years.
Well, and there were riffs. I'm like driving home, and
I don't
I'm like
mind
hearing
it.
like a chunky thing, and I'm like, is something wrong with my car?
I don't There's a knock in the engine. I don't mind it. I don't mind it. I know what Bob is going for because that's what he knows. And he got them to do what he knows. That was the compromise. You let us do what we do and just make it sound better and more viable, commercially viable. I hate to say it. It's not. You could consider that, we'll talk about the legacy. Is it a sellout? Is it not? Is it? But you know, um,
I think it's. I'm going to say this, and that's all I'll say on the legacy of it. It was a choice. It was a choice to be more palatable. But even with it being more palatable, it was like what Pink Floyd did. Pink Floyd makes a choice on Dark Side of the Moon. They made the choice to have smaller songs more easily consumed by the populace. It's fine. It's okay. Just because I don't like some of these songs and actually detest a couple of them with the fire of many suns, it's still fine. I also do that for stuff that they did later when they didn't do this and stuff earlier. Trapped Under Ice, Looking at You, Want to Kick You in the Face, and Escape. That's even worse than Trapped Under Ice. But look, there's hits and misses, and it is what it is.
it's not unfair. It's not an unfair criticism, but Kirk is a little more integral in this album, and he certainly contributed a lot more than one or two songs. He's also got, yeah, like
I don't
I
think
think it's unfair to say Kirk doesn't contribute. Kirk
I
doesn't
didn't
record the rhythms
I didn't say that. I said all he did on the albums was punch in for the solo.
on
He wrote
Justice.
on all of it
He
up
also, I think
until
he, yeah, I don't know.
he
I
didn't
don't think
play
that's
any
fair.
he didn't play any rhythm until
That's
until
true.
load.
Until low. Yes, that's
But
not unfair. He has
what he
writing
would
credits. We
yes,
discussed
what he
this.
would do is he would make these riff tapes and he would send them to Lars and forget about them. And then Lars would call him at like 4 in the morning and let's say probably on shit tons of coke and say, "Listen to this. This is an amazing thing." And he's like, "This might be the second time I ever heard the riff." And I call him Kirky Wawa because
Well,
I mean I
this is the
love Kirky.
record that he became Kirky Wawa, honestly.
It
You've
was all of it. I
won an
I
awful lot of
love
love.
Kirky Wawa, and I even bought a Crybaby because of that song,
I
bitch.
have a crybaby. Even though I had a crybaby wah. Even though Cliff played a Morley on the bass, I got a crybaby Jimi
He
Hendrix
did.
wah. He did. We talked about
That's what
this.
Jason played too.
It is well because
Jason played a
Jason,
Morley.
they wanted him to play like Cliff.
That checks out. I had something to say and I forgot what it was.
Oh, I
So
interrupted you.
no, it was earlier.
I like your Gravehuffer shirt.
Thank you. It glows in the dark.
That's
Let's
cool.
just.
Don't try it out, please. No. Don't get up and show us your ass to get a record. Don't turn the light off.
Oh, it didn't
So
work. Didn't work.
it's
Not enough
not.
darkness.
It's not going to work. That's why I said don't do it.
Okay, so let's get on to the album
Would
itself.
you like to lead the track by track on your favorite Metallica album?
You know what? Let's just go ahead and do the track by track, and then we'll talk about the tour because
Hmm.
I want to mention. I'm going to mention it now so we don't forget. During the tour, this is a time in St. Louis where our arena for music changes. Up until on the Black Album tour, or not Black Album, on the Justice album, the Justice tour, Metallica played downtown at the Kiel Auditorium. Ever heard of it? That's where our second basketball team played. The St. Louis Star. No, no. St. Louis Spirit. St. Louis Spirit. And that's where we had all of our. It was a theater and a basketball arena, and that was where basically all the concerts were until about 1990. In 1990, it switched to the arena, which was built in 1929. So obviously they did not have any thoughts of metal concerts when this son bitch was built to have livestock shows and host an American League hockey team. And then a few years after that, and still to this day, the arena is the Enterprise Center, which was built on the ruins of the Kiel Auditorium. And the Kiel Opera House, which was attached to the auditorium, still stands to this day. It is now renamed the Stiefel Theater and is finally open again. Anywho, so let's begin with the Enter of the Sandman. You know what? I mean, what is so important? Oh, this is what I was going to say. It works out really well. Even though Metallica cleaned up their edges, they were still scary as hell. This song right here, all of a sudden, this is the first like metal tune ever that becomes iconic. That becomes an iconic song. And Enter Sandman is literally everywhere in 1991. And it still scared the shit out of all the normies. Uh, is it cheesy? Yes. Are the lyrics spectacular and talking about things that they care about? No. Uh, did they try real hard? Yes. Is there a kick-ass guitar solo? Definitely. Do I need this song? No, I'm done with it.
Those are all separate things. Every episode, by the way, everyone listening and watching, Nik says at least one sentence that makes me want to eat a bullet or have a brain aneurysm spontaneously. That statement a couple of minutes ago was it.
Which
It's
one?
not the first iconic metal song. Get out of here. Anyway,
What?
like
Okay, what? What?
there are many iconic metal songs before this, including your beloved Dio and Heaven and Hell and stuff like that.
No.
Holy
I'm
Diver.
talking about the no. Holy Diver is never an icon. Is something that transcends
You
genre.
hate that word. Stop using it.
I love it when it's appropriate and I'm using it appropriately.
There's a difference between something can be iconic and not culturally significant at the same
Then it's not iconic. That's what iconic is.
We're gonna fight about it anyway.
You want to fight about it?
I really don't, bro. I don't. By the way, Kirk Hammett has 4 writing credits on this album, which is
what
one
the
more than
hell
any other
cartoon
album.
is that from?
I don't know.
You want to? Yeah, Big
What are you,
Whoop.
the
You want to
chicken hawk?
fight about it?
What are you, the chicken hawk? And I'm Foghorn Leghorn.
This is gonna drive me absolutely crazy.
Don't care.
I care.
Is it my turn? Are you still going about Enter Sandman?
Look at my mute button. What color is it now?
I can't tell. I don't know. Is it white? Is it blue? My mute button kind of stopped working. I haven't used it in a while. As you can tell by how much I talk. Nicholas?
I am on mute. I'm on mute. So
it's my turn.
Okay. Yeah, I tried to say I showed you that I was muted, and then you wouldn't. Then you talked about being muted for the next 28 minutes.
All right.
Jesus Christ, Omar, cut this.
If only he could.
He has the ability. Nobody sends it to him.
So let's talk for a second. So Enter Sandman is the first single released from the album about a week and a half before the album drops.
Think about that. A week and a half.
On a major label.
On Elektra Records.
With the biggest management team in the world, Q Prime.
With a big name producer. A week. Not a month. Not like 4 years after the singles are being released, 6 months ahead of time.
So I'm going to tell you on July 29th in 1991, where I was in my bedroom, probably in between work and school, and listening to WPLJ, New York City.
I thought you were going to say between whacking and wiping.
No. I go back and forth between the rock station. There's not really a metal station. They could almost argue that Metallica is responsible for metal stations getting national play. And I would put on like PLJ sometimes to hear like pop music and rock. And now coming up for the first time ever, the brand new Metallica song. I was like, on PLJ? What station am I listening to? Enter Sandman, and you hear boom, 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 boom. You hear the drums and everything. This is not like any Metallica song we've ever heard before. People were legitimately freaking out that they weren't metal anymore. Immediately, this doesn't sound like Blackened. This doesn't sound like Battery. This does not sound like Fight Fire with Fire. It doesn't sound like Kill 'Em All, like Hit the Lights. It's a completely different sound for them. This song, it's still heavy, it's still scary, but it's a shocker, right? Like there's even the clean pick part is a shocker, and then you hear the wah, and the drums get better and better, and the drums are amazing, and the sound of the record is like, what is this sound? Especially the last thing you heard was Injustice for All on a loop for 3 years, and then you hear this, and it's like, wow, this is insane. And then James sounds great. He's actually singing on key and not shouting. And it's got like a beginning, a middle, and an end like no Metallica song has had in years, practically. And it's a shocker, honestly.
It's intro, verse, chorus.
Yeah,
verse, chorus, bridge, chorus.
It's like he made like Bob's impact on them is he made them learn how to write an actual concise pop song, a pop rock song.
And their version of concise is 5.5.
Still 5:31. But here's the other thing. Apparently, the original lyrics of Enter Sandman, it was called something else, and it was a much darker story that upset and horrified Lars so much that he was like, "We can't put that out." Not only is it can't be a single, whatever, it cannot be the first song on the album, and it cannot be out. You have to change these lyrics. So he made it about child's nightmares. But
Grow up, baby.
it was kind of like apparently about like parents murdering their children originally.
Holy shit. Okay,
Yeah,
maybe
in their
Lars was
beds.
right.
Yeah, maybe
Okay.
Lars was right. This wouldn't
Maybe
have been
Lars
his
was
popular
right.
song if it wasn't,
If it was about,
say your
infant-
prayers, little one.
Well,
It's also,
he did sing about infanticide in the last record.
yes,
So they write
infanticide.
vertically.
They do write vertically. And I will also say that we not only get the, James's, great vocal performance. He really learns how to sing on the next record completely, but here he's really becoming into his own. But also we get the very first non-live yeah, because this guy got him doing yes.
Yeah,
like punctuate your stuff with woman,
Fire woman.
Fire woman. They love the cult. And they maybe like Michael Jackson because they're just this close to doing a hee, just that close, or Prince, like one of those.
Let me say the guitar tone on this track sucks ass.
Oh no, I disagree.
And for the whole rest of the record,
no.
James put it best. They wanted the bass up front, they wanted the drums up front, so something's got to go in the back. And
I guess
Metallica doesn't work with the guitars in the back, in my opinion. So, moving on to Sad But True, another single. I don't know the order because half of this record is a single. They could have released this like a 1945 album and just had a series of singles. They released, it's 12 songs, they released 6. So they could have just, put it out on 745s. Sad But True, you know what? Again, we have a good, lyrically scary, not as scary as before, great riff, tuned down, and it's a really good song, a really good crunch. And this crunch sound really sets the stage, sets the tone, pun intended, for Metallica for the next forever.
Fair enough. Metallica does a slow song extremely well. I think even they surprised themselves. The slow part in Phantom Lord, the slow part, The Thing That Should Not Be, Orion, Call of Cthulhu, whatever you prefer. Obviously, Harvester of Sorrow was incredible on the last record. This song, Devil's Dance in the Future, they do well at slow. James does great. James acts out the song once again. It's the first song ever Metallica did that is not in standard E. It's in D, straight up D, the whole guitar. It's mean and evil. You never want it to end. It's so good. And then I don't understand why they gave it to Kid Rock to ruin, but whatever.
Everybody
Lars and Kid Rock were big
ruin.
Coke friends. And you talked about the cocaine and the drug influence of Metallica. That was the hidden secret history of Metallica's drug use in the last Metallica episode we did. So that wasn't Binge and Purge. That was with Quinn. Love Sad But True. Perfect. 10 of 10 song, no notes.
Moving on to Holier Than Thou. Not bad, not amazing, a little forgettable. Done.
I do like the music video and the year and a half in the life of Metallica where James, they're like touring arenas, right? And James has got like a hockey stick and he's pretending to play the riff. It's like one of my favorite things. Anti-religion, a very favorite topic of James, having his horrible religious upbringing by Christian Scientists. It's mercifully short, it's under 4 minutes. It's still thrash. I think that was like, hey, we're still thrash. I know you think we gave up the thrash. It's pretty thrash.
Almost.
Thrash and heavy metal. I mean, it's fun.
It's closer to Fast Black
Sabbath. If you heard it live today, you wouldn't be mad at it. You'd be like, oh, wow, I missed that song.
I would rather hear that than some of the other things I've heard.
Yeah, fair enough.
Moving on to Unforgiven. Anything that should be and needed to be said about Unforgiven has already been said. Great song, amazing video. It is a song that really put them on the map in an amazing, wonderful way where people saw them as more than just meatheads. Out.
Yeah, I agree. Brilliant music video, co-writing credit by Hammett again. And
Hammett's best solo on this record, if not in Metallica to this point.
Do we need like the complete 2-minute outro of this song? It's like
it's
like a Lord of the Rings ending song.
Yeah.
It's a brilliant song. The old guy in the video is directed by Matt Maheron.
Which old guy? There's 2 of them.
That's true. They wildly haired old guy who's more of the acting.
The one that the one that guy goes
The whimsical guy, yes, the whimsical guy is an
That's the
actual
interesting use of the word whimsical.
classic. Well, versus the old guy who's just downtrodden and shirtless. They're both shirtless
And bloody hands.
and very bloody. So the whimsical guy is a famous television actor who was friends with my mother. And he was in the Soupy Sales show, actually, as a bit character. Anywho, little trivia you didn't need to know.
Moving on, wherever I may roam, this song sucks balls.
This song is awesome.
Song is terrible. Next song.
Oh no.
Come on.
Wherever I May Roam got the
8 seconds. You get 8 seconds.
Wherever I May Roam got the biggest applause the last 3 times I saw them play it. And it was the song that my band opened up almost every rehearsal with beside Black Number One for about 10 years. It's awesome, and I'm sorry.
Okay, there you go. You had 8 seconds. We are now going to do the last track on side B of the record. Don't Tread on Me. You know what? I'm going to say it again. I ain't mad at it. If I never heard it again, I'd be okay with that. The line, touch me again for the words that you will hear evermore, sounds like it's like the worst fortune-telling coin-op machine in San Francisco.
I know you have probably never seen Berry Gordy's The Last Dragon, but that's what it feels like.
No, I need to. Is that the one where with the blaxploitation kung fu movie? I actually been told to watch that recently.
I love it so much. We should watch it together. Don't Tread on Me is kind of like trying to update Injustice for All. It now comes off as a little fashion.
It came off the same way, like 6 months after it was released, because like months after this thing was released, We Invade Iraq.
I think
no, it was before. You're right.
Before Desert Storm is at this time,
okay,
or right before. That's what that's what he was inspired by. He was watching like CNN.
Yeah, it's a little jingoistic, and I mean,
yes, that's correct.
That's not what he was going for,
but that's how it came out.
Right, and I don't like my metal to be jingoistic. I like my metal to be anti-jingoism. So let's put on side C and begin with quite possibly Metallica's worst song.
No. Through
the Never, Throw It Away. Next.
No, there are much worse songs in the next 2 albums than this song. Come on. Bro.
No. Yes. Maybe.
I'm going to bring you Poke the Bear.
Maybe on Reload.
The Polar Bear is going to eat you next week when we do Load.
We're not in Canada. There are no polar bears in America except for Alaska.
Zoos. There are polar bears at the Bronx Zoo, the only zoo I care about.
There's polar bears at the St. Louis Zoo, the only zoo I care about, which is the top 5 zoo and free.
I didn't get to go.
Free.
No, the Bronx Zoo is a fortune actually, unless you go on Free Wednesday. Or you're a child.
It's free on Tuesdays.
Kirk Hammett also co-wrote Through the Never.
I would not brag about that.
It's also thrashy.
It's not good though.
But it's thrashy.
This is the Frayed Ends of Sanity Part 2.
Could be.
Except bad.
I feel like it's tuned to like E flat also.
I really don't know if the Frayed Ends of Sanity is really good. Honestly, or
it's good now.
or if I just like it because they never played it. Which they still have not played it.
Yeah, it's not good.
Moving on, Nothing Else Matters. You want to talk about a song to just get a big fat roll on? It's this one. You want to know how Metallica got rich? It's this song.
You think so?
Oh God, yeah.
I still think it's Enter Sandman. We'll talk about why.
No, here's why. This is the song that made him soft and sensitive. So, what did Lars say? The sign of making it is when it's 50-50 in the crowd. And I think it was 50 dudes and 15,000 chicks tonight.
James also didn't want to put this on a Metallica album. He was embarrassed by the song and didn't think it was good.
Really?
And Lars was like, "Oh my God, that's going on the record." And he was like,
Kirk does not play on this track. There was originally talk of him playing one note. Just so he would be on it. I'll just play one note.
They fucked him. They fucked him out of the royalties. Nothing Else Matters. The song that a million metal dudes finally came to. It
would be awesome as if Kirk had a writing credit on this one.
Yeah, well. Maybe it'd be awesome if he played it correctly live just once, because he keeps botching the intro.
Who cares?
including when we saw him. I don't care, but like,
Nobody
he's definitely
cares.
caring less about being tight nowadays and more about being
He's
sloppy.
like 75.
He's not 75. He's the third youngest member of Metallica. Stop it.
So he's
Um,
66?
he is not 66. He's 60. Calm down. So, yeah, Nothing Else Matters is huge. My friend got married to this song, or at least was his wedding march. A
He's
lot of people.
62.
Whatever, bro. You're really stretching.
I'm just being silly.
I know. Go ahead. I have nothing else to say. It's a great song. I don't need to hear it ever again, but it's a great song.
Yeah, that is how I would describe this song. Okay, moving on. Of Wolf and Man, also co-write. Again, ain't mad at it. I think they played it when we saw them one of the two nights.
We were like, yes,
something different.
something different. Fuck yeah.
But other than that, that's all I need. The lyrics are terrible.
No,
Yes.
I love werewolves.
Seek
Come on.
the wolf in thyself.
Whatever. That's Rock. That's Bob Rock telling James to get
Every
fanciful.
track on this record the lyrics get cringy at some point.
That's true.
And
And if they wrote them in this order, they're even more like progressively worse.
It's not good. Okay.
It's a great song. I love this.
Say something. Let's move on to quality.
Fine.
All right. He's done. Awesome. Next, we're going to get to do the best song on the record.
No.
Objectively.
No.
The God That Failed.
Sad but True is the best song on the record.
You're wrong. Love this song. Quantifiably wrong. It's like it's easier to quantify this than the area of a right triangle. I don't even need a quadratic equation for this bitch. A Venn diagram of how wrong you are is a circle.
Yeah, I didn't need one song about religion on this album, let alone two. So
I think we have three actually, but
okay.
I think My Friend in Misery is too.
Could be.
I think it's about a religious person.
Could be.
So
God That Failed is a good song. It's not great, and it was a random that it's a single. I don't know what they expect.
It's not a single.
Yeah, it is.
Is it?
Oh yeah, it is. It's you. It's not a single. It's worse because they made it a single. This album has 6 singles and 12 songs.
It has 7. It has 7 singles.
The audacity of this fucking band to put. Well, Sad but True is technically also a single last.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the God That Failed is kind of ridiculous. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why. I don't think it's that good.
Okay, well.
It's okay. It's an okay song. I think it gets worse on repeat listens.
Okay, moving on to My Friend in Misery.
To me, this is a much superior song.
I love this
song. Best song on the second side of the album besides
Jason Newsted finally getting that Metallica writing money. Too bad it's not a single.
No.
Too bad none of the songs he gets writing money.
Why is this song singles? 7 minutes long? I would have made it like a 4-minute song, but
do you think we need 5 on this?
I think it's a bit too long.
I think 3:45 might have really.
Oh well, yeah, lower, slow, less,
yeah,
just less. Make it.
The lyrics are not. I mean, the empty can rattles the most. I mean,
again, that's ladies and gentlemen. James Hetfield learns how to sing, regresses as a lyricist until the next album.
There's a lot of there's a lot of that, and a lot of these songs have pre-choruses which they had never done before, and they're like
bridges and pre-choruses they never.
They're like, and they're doing these for like long periods of time, so it's kind of this. And I'll explain that. Okay, so I'm just gonna throw. Do you have anything to say on this one? Or are you good?
I love the song, but I'm good. I can play the bass intro a little bit. I'm
sorry. Okay, next track, Struggle Within. I apologize. This is Frayed Ends Part 2, but bad.
This is pretty bad. This is.
The Struggle Within is even a line in Frayed Ends Insanity.
Yeah, this is. You had called Dyer's Eve one of the worst Metallica songs when we did.
I did not. I love that
Damage
song.
Incorporated. You said wasn't good.
No, I did not. I love that song.
I thought you said it was bad.
No,
I think Struggle Within is pretty bad. And as I always say, at least up until Saint Anger, because I really can't even tell you what the last song on Saint Anger is.
Does it have a last song? I just thought it went on forever.
Fucking blur. It's just a blur.
I'm pretty sure it just goes on for.
I blocked it out like a trauma response.
It is trauma.
I used to write the last song last, and that was usually
Not this time. This time they wrote it first.
But what I'm saying is typically,
yeah.
How Lars sequences a record is the song that he thinks indicates their next direction is the last song on the record. Damage Incorporated, Dyer's Eve, which doesn't make sense, but it does. And then Struggle Within, in a bad way, kind of foretells Load. and it is not good. I don't need this. This is also potentially another religious song a bit, and I don't need it. I don't need it. It's okay. It's okay. It is that to me. This is the worst song on the record, not Through the Never.
Fair enough.
But okay.
It's they're fighting for it.
Yeah, 9 of the 12 songs are awesome to me, but that
I would say 4 of the 12 songs are awesome, 4 of the 12 songs are mid, and 4 of the 12 songs are abjectly
so
bad.
This is a 30-30-30 for you?
It's 30-30-30 for me.
Now I think it's better than that.
But the real issue with this is even the songs that are good are too long.
That's also true. But we didn't mind back then.
I minded. This is a 6. Well, no, actually, I didn't. But that's because I didn't have any money. I'm like, oh, longer record for the same money? I love you. Now, no, I got money. I grew up, bitch. I'm rich, bitch. No, I'm not. But cut out a couple of these songs, tighten this shit up, and you got a much better record.
Very bloated for 62 minutes. I could have did this in 40. 42 would have been perfect.
Yeah, this is a great.
62 is egregious.
And this is going to be a recurring theme for Metallica going forward. This could have been an email.
This manifesto should have been a text. Text message.
Exactly. This manifesto should have been a paragraph. This should have been a letter.
Yeah. Quick question. You know that the bonus track on the Japanese edition is So What, which gave us their great Anti-Nowhere League cover that they.
I did not know that was on the Japanese one.
The entire fucking early 90s is them opening shows with So What or Bread Fan.
So What was like this hidden Metallica song. Because to get it in America, you had to buy one of the singles until Garage Inc. comes out, which we'll talk about in a few weeks.
I hope so. You were,
and it was like this. I'll do it.
Garage Inc. is my reward for having to do S&M. So like,
I don't want to do S&M, but
we have to do S&M.
We don't have to. We don't have to do anything.
We have to.
We are the masters.
The only thing we don't have to do is Lulu. We have to do everything else.
Oh, I disagree. Anyway,
so you can have a guest to do Lulu without me.
Don is already offered.
I will give you. Listen, it's like Indecent Proposal. If it's $1 million, Don is my $1 million Indecent Proposal. I will let you fuck Don for a week and fuck Lulu right in the fucking hole, right in the little hole,
God.
And with your peens. And
this is a family show.
I will dip out.
This is a family show.
It hasn't been a family show since
the Adams
day one.
Family. The Adams family.
The Manson family. Firefly family. Like, no, not an actual good family.
So I would give
Little
this
House on the Prairie, Nelly.
Would give
your face.
I would give this a 7 out of 10.
Oh my God, what is wrong with you?
And only because the highs are so high.
It's like an 8 or a 9, dude.
Okay, that's fine. No,
I said if I agree, it's too long. I would have cut a couple of songs.
Look, just because Metallica is modern day Led Zeppelin does not mean they're infallible. Led Zeppelin did those last 3 records too.
Those are the 3 best records, by the way.
You are on crap.
I'm not counting Coda. I mean, like,
I know I'm not counting Coda. Like Presence and then Into the Outdoor and
those are great albums. You have no idea. Like, we're gonna do Zeppelin too. We're gonna do them all. You know. Yeah, you stop it.
Sometimes I got to do that.
So, why did this album become the biggest metal album of all time?
Because it hit at the right time. It hit at a time when people thought they liked metal. They didn't, but they thought they did.
Enter Sandman was on MTV at like 3 o'clock every day.
There was a girl I knew in high school that had written on her notebook "Metal Rules" next to a Nelson logo.
Wow.
Okay,
here she comes.
This is what I mean. People thought they liked metal then, but they didn't. And then Metallica comes out. It's still metal. So now you get the street cred. Everybody thought they liked metal because of Poison and Bon Jovi. And
talking over my beautiful Nelson imitation.
Fuck Nelson.
And they were pretty enough, man. I might have. I don't know. You see them girls? They were beautiful. I mean, dudes, they were beautiful.
My favorite thing is I jerked off of this picture of Sebastian Bach 3 times before I realized it was a dude. And then I jerked off 10 more times.
Settle down, Don.
So let's go over the average set list right on this.
Oh, cool. Well, I mean, like, can we just talk for another minute about? But just like, this is the biggest selling metal album of all time. It's 31 million copies and counting. It sells 6,000 records a week.
When when 40,000 records sold now on a new release is amazing.
Yeah, this is physical.
Yeah.
The amount, what amounts to a physical release? It's probably like 3,000.
If you stack them all up, they probably have sold enough to cover Greenland.
Yeah, the reason never going to be owned by America. The reason,
of course, not. It's not.
The reason that this album continues to last is Enter Sandman and Nothing Else Matters. And
yeah, those two songs got into
those three songs.
They got into the 100 songs in American rock radio.
Enter Sandman and Nothing Else Matters have 1 billion streams each.
A B.
Two songs on the same album with a B.
That's insane.
It's kind of insane. It is the biggest selling album of the SoundScan era, which was implemented in 1990. The second biggest selling album of the SoundScan era is Shania Twain's album with Man, I Feel Like a Woman, that one. It just is what it is, just saying. Before the biggest current pop stars. So this is when physical was still a thing. Probably because this record is still selling so much and Metallica has to press them all the time, we're not getting all the things we could be getting that they probably want to do.
We have gotten 6 different versions of this since you and I have known each other.
That's true. It's kind of fucked.
And we haven't known each other that long.
It has inspired a terrible covers album for the most part.
I don't need that. The Blackest record, I don't need that.
I didn't need it.
I did not buy the box set because the Blackest. I did not buy the box set because it didn't have a quality live release on vinyl on it.
Right. And also our Vinyl Club series, the best record of all of those was this one, the Black Album Leftovers.
That was a pretty good one. I haven't listened to that in a while. But I mean, I don't know how to phrase it any better than we already have. This album came out at the right time, at the peak of Madden, of Sega Genesis Madden players thinking they like metal. And that's why
Metallica and Soundgarden and Guns N' Roses.
Right. And that's why the next Metallica record,
Nirvana.
And that's why the next Metallica record didn't sell as well.
But it's also artificially sold. It should have sold even less because it ain't good. It really ain't good.
No, it's Load and Reload would have been a great email.
A great one album.
Yeah, great one album. And no, not even that much. I mean, you got to go lower than that. Load and Reload, a spoiler alert, are 2 80-minute records. They would have been an amazing 60.
I agree. We just 60, not 160.
Yeah, 60.
We can start next week with Binge and Purge. I'm okay to talk
we'll
for 10, 15 minutes for Binge and Purge next week.
Let's quickly run through the average set list, all right?
I'm dying to hear it. I don't even have it pulled up. I'm just going to shut it now.
Enter Sandman, Creeping Death, Harvester of Sorrow, Welcome Home, Sad and Ethereum, Sad But True, Wherever I May Roam, Bass Solo, The Unforgiven, Through the Never, Justice Medley, Drum Solo, Guitar Solo, For Whom the Bell Tolls, Fade to Black, Nothing Else Matters, Whiplash, Master of Puppets, Seek and Destroy, One, Last Caress, Am I Evil, and Battery. I would also point out they did break out Stone Cold Crazy a bunch of times too. But this is the average set list for 1992. But should point out, this tour went on till 1995.
Sort of. I think officially Woodstock is the last day of the...
All right, so it did 92, 93, 94.
Then they did Escape from the Studio, and that's 95. So it's technically not the same tour anymore. Wherever I May tour.
Are you done?
I'm not done.
Are you done actualing me?
Did you talk about the... right before the Black Album came out, they also did the Moscow Peace concert with Pantera and Ace right before.
I don't want to talk about that.
Oh, all right, fine. Because we have to talk about
I don't want to talk about it.
All right.
That's the live album that's in the Black Album box set, which I'm like, nope.
You wanted a better one.
Well, I wanted one that didn't have all that going on while I was playing.
That's fair. Metallica also has a prominent featured band in the Freddie Mercury Concert for Life in 1991 before the Black Album comes out.
And they played several songs. They played 3 songs, at least 2. Everybody only got 20 minutes. And I know they played Nothing Else Matters and Enter Sandman. I don't know what
No, not yet. You're thinking of the Russia concert. That's where they played Enter Sandman and...
No, I watched it. They played Nothing Else Matters at Freddie Mercury.
Okay. All right, then. I stand corrected.
I will fight because Kirk Hammett couldn't sing it, and I got scarred for life from Kirk Hammett trying to sing backups on it.
He should not.
Kirky Wawa should have just stepped on his pedal.
Wawa should just wear sparkly jackets and play cool guitars and not do anything else.
Sparkly guitars.
sparkly guitars, and sparkly jackets, and sparkly pants, sparkly in general.
And and guy liner.
That's okay. Something wrong with guyliner.
No, I like guy liner. I mean, I don't
Ozzy
wear
got
it.
his tattooed on.
Did he really?
Yeah. He could have just asked Mac for an endorsement like Robert Smith did. Um,
Hmm.
so this was my number one album of the 90s last week.
And that's fair. It's just I don't enjoy it as much as that.
Well, because it is played to death. Enter
It,
Sandman is
it,
at the reason Enter Sandman continues to just climb is because sports, the best relief pitcher of all time, Mariano
Lee
Rivera of the New
Smith.
York Yankees, well eclipsed Lee Smith's strikeout numbers, won more
Saves.
titles,
I don't think Lee Smith won
played
any.
probably against lesser hitters. Lee pitched in the live ball era, so much respect to that arm was crazy. But Mo is the best shutdown pitcher ever, and he had to pitch 2 innings most of the time because the Yankees'
Did he
middle
really?
relief was crap. So a lot of his saves are 2 inning saves, which is insane.
Insane.
If you really think about
That's
it.
nuts.
Any other team would have thrown a bag of money instead of at one more hitter. They would have got one more relief pitcher.
Most closers can only throw 14 pitches every 3 days.
Yeah, he can throw every day, 25, 30 pitches every single day. But he also got a lot of 9-pitch strikeout innings, like the most ever. So yeah, Enter Sandman was his music. The Yankees licensed it for every game he came into the game for. Every football team uses it. A lot of teams use it in college.
It's in every arena.
It's in every video game for sports, hockey, football, everything.
But what I wanted to point out, you said it's way overplayed now. It was way overplayed then. I got tired of it then.
Wait, because we're going to do the Load and Reload tour mentions, and it's there. They can't not play it. And they went from opening every show for 300 shows to closing with it every show for 300 shows.
That's
the whole 90s is this song. It's like, oh my God, I don't need it. And
I remember
not ever played it. I saw them once. I've seen them 40 something times, and there's only one time they didn't play it. And I was like, did they?
Was it the Justice tour, or
no, it's more recent?
Or was it the one where they had to, or was it the first show we saw them together?
The tour, no. So before those shows, so I saw the 40th anniversary shows where they didn't play it one night. That was the second time. So I've seen them twice. I've seen them 3 times, and I stand corrected. I've seen them 40 something times, 44 times. I've seen them 3 times where they didn't play it. And what happened is the tour before they did the Black Album anniversary tour, they specifically didn't play much Black Album stuff. So they kind of took a break from the Black Album.
Was that the tour where they were? That was the tour where they were playing Black Album in reverse.
And I love that. I saw that show at Aftershock Festival, and it was fucking great. Aftershock 21 when they came back from 21 when they came back from the pandemic. I saw that, and yeah, man.
Anyway, I don't know if we said this, but they were playing an amazing set list on this tour.
How I was going to ask you, I interrupted myself. How long a show is that? They were still doing a 3-hour show at that point?
Yeah, they were. They only did one tour of a 3-hour show. It was this tour, and this tour was until the Guns N' Roses tour. It was an evening with Metallica. They would come out and they would play for if you listen to the 2 shows in Live Shit Binge and Purge, it's 2 3-hour shows. They started with a 20-minute documentary to introduce all the new kids to who they are, and to let them know what you're going to be hearing, more information. And then they just went out and they just played.
Fascinating.
I'm getting questions about when we're going to be done.
We're almost done. We're about done.
That's what I'm saying. All right, cool. Excuse me. So this album, really just changed the world. And if this is the only hit Metallica ever has, I would still call them a Hall of Fame band, because of how significant this record is. From the strength of this record, you had bands like Megadeth and Pantera headlining arenas. They didn't do that before, and they didn't do it after. It's called Thing What It Is.
This changed the entire game. This changed the entire rock, even grunge that kind of took over the consciousness for 3 or 4 years. Metallica inspired the grunge bands and the post-grunge bands for their guitar sound. Metallica was then inspired by grunge, maybe mistakenly. We'll talk about it next week. But
little British blues stuff right there.
A little bit. But the lasting impact of this record is mind-boggling.
Mind-boggling, agreed.
To me. Maybe only me.
To everyone. I think we have said I think we've said all there is to say. Do you want to take us home, or is it my
I
turn?
think it is
Actually,
your turn.
I was too drunk last week.
No, I mean you were too angry last week because we were running over, and your wife, lawyer wife was mad, and I do apologize, but please take us home. I'm done.
Thank you, everybody, for checking us out. If you are here for the first time, hearing us talk about Metallica, there's going to be plenty more, so you should do your best to subscribe. We have reached the limit of our reach in the algorithm. So a rate, a review, a subscribe, a share is like the most amazing thing you can do for us. If you have enjoyed this, just one of those things would be a wonderful thank you. And with that, I will say this has been the Glacially Musical Podcast. It so much doesn't play in Peoria. I'm not even allowed to go there when I'm next door in 3 days.
Metallica,
Peoria
Metallica,
Records.
Metallica.
Welcome.
What?
Huh?
Metallica.
Peoria. Rivermen.